All right, leaders, welcome. Think of this as your essential briefing on the innovation ecosystem. We're going to give you the strategic framework you need to not just compete, but to really lead in what is, let's be honest, a very high-stakes landscape.
So let's just start with the stakes here, because frankly, they could not be higher. We're in a constant, non-stop battle with our adversaries. This isn't just about tanks and planes. It's about protecting our national security, our supply chains, and even the services our citizens rely on every day. So you see, continuous innovation, it's not a nice to have. It's an absolute necessity. And that's why your role, it's never been more critical.
Okay, so over the next few minutes, we're going to cover the whole landscape, the terrain, the key players, and the playbook they're using. But I want you to remember one word. The whole point of this briefing is to zero in on the single most important factor for success here, and that is timing. If you can master the timing, you win. It's really that simple.
All right, let's dive right into our first section. Here, we're going to really nail down the why. Why is there this constant, relentless push for innovation? What makes it so absolutely central to our strategy?
You know, when we say critical innovation, we're not talking about some fuzzy, abstract idea. No, we are talking about very specific, very high-stakes domains. Things like AI, quantum, space systems, you name it. Think of these as the technological battlegrounds of today. This is where we have to stay competitive. Our national security literally depends on it.
Okay, let's move on. Now, this whole landscape, it might feel kind of chaotic, right? But here's the thing. It's not. It actually follows a surprisingly predictable pattern. We're about to look at the map of this whole terrain, and you'll see it's all defined by these big waves of technology adoption. So yeah, technology adoption in national security, it's not random at all. It comes in these continuous, predictable waves. I mean, think about it. It started way back with the computing age in the 40s and 50s. That's what gave us our national labs. Then you had the post-9/11 IT modernization push. After that, the big cloud and cyber wave hit. And right now, we're smack in the middle of the AI wave. And what's next? Right on the horizon? Quantum. Getting a feel for this rhythm, that is absolutely key. And this right here, this shows you exactly how those waves flow. I want you to really notice the pattern here. Innovation doesn't just pop up everywhere at once. No way. It starts at the sharpest point of the spear. You're looking at the defense and intelligence communities. From there, it just cascades out. And understanding this predictable flow, that's a huge piece of the strategic puzzle.
Okay, so this brings us to what I think is the most critical strategic lesson in this whole briefing. We've seen the waves, we've seen the flow. So the big question is, how do you, as a leader, actually use this knowledge? How do you leverage this adoption curve to get the biggest possible impact and the best return?
So, this thing, the adoption curve, it's the central idea. It's basically that golden window of opportunity, right? It's the time between when a need first pops up and when the market is just flooded with solutions. And where you decide to jump onto that curve, well, that dictates absolutely everything. And this really shows you the stark reality of getting your timing right or wrong. I mean, think about it. If you jump in too early, before the customer is even thinking about buying, you just burn cash for almost no return. But if you nail the timing, that's when you get to ride that wave for the longest possible time, and you maximize everything. Your returns, your impact, the whole shebang. So you're probably asking, how do I know when that golden window is starting to close? Well, here's your signal. It's a big one. When you start seeing the huge consulting firms, the big names, when they start offering solutions at an economy of scale or at a discount, that's the market screaming at you that the party's over. The high-value, early-in-the-game returns are done. Now, as you're out there navigating this market, it's super important to remember that you're not dealing with just one type of customer. It's not a monolith. You're going to run into two main kinds. First, you've got your big, well-resourced, and highly regulated players. Then, you've got the ones that are still highly regulated but are much more under-resourced. And trust me, you need a completely different strategy for each one.
All right, finally, let's pull back the curtain on the most important partner you have in this whole ecosystem, the government. And here's the key. It's not just another customer, oh no. It's the primary market shaper. Understanding how it operates, its playbook, that's not optional, it's a must. And look, the government strategy isn't some big secret. It pretty much always operates using these 6 predictable levers. It'll invest in huge infrastructure projects, it'll help develop the workforce, buy services, fund that critical R&D we talked about, set up test environments, and hand out incentives like grants and tax credits. That's the playbook. That's how it gets things done.
And it all boils down to this classic carrot and stick approach. It's really the essence of the government's role. It provides all the support and pays for the things that private industry just can't afford. That's your carrot. But at the same time, it mandates compliance to make sure everyone is meeting national security standards. And that's the stick.
So what's the big takeaway here? The most crucial point is this. Winning in this really complex ecosystem, it's not about being a master of just one thing. It's about seeing the whole picture. It's about deeply understanding how all these pieces fit together. The tech waves, that perfect market timing, and of course, the government's playbook.
So we'll end on this thought. You've now seen the map of the terrain. You've been handed the playbook. The challenge now is squarely on you. It's up to you to take this framework, to get ahead of that next wave, and to position your organization not just to survive it or even ride it, but to lead it. The only question left is, are you ready?